All right, we are theoretically live. Monetization is on. Let's go into the control room, wait for everything to load through, and make sure all presets are correct. If you're watching the recording afterwards, you can skip the first minute or so. All right, I am muted. Switch chat over to live. And for anyone who's already here, even though that essentially comprises no one, this is going to be probably a really short one, but had to do it since I promised I would do it, and I don't want to keep failing to follow through on stuff. I need bookmarks, control panel, Epic Pen's already ready. Google Earth, the thing that stalls everything out and makes the stream go into a spastic episode. That's what we need. Can you realign the planet? There we go. Okay, so not too much specific this time, but I'll get into it in a second. See if we have anybody actually showing up yet. No. So I'll take a sip of water and wait a second. See if anybody actually does show up. All right. Uh, yeah, sorry, whoever the one is, one's not enough just yet for me to be willing to actually start talking. So I'm just going to check on some stuff real quick while waiting. Oil's still in the 70s. TD trade insists on showing a random bimbo. Let's go down. Here we go. This is how you get the bimbo out. Yeah, oil still in 60s. Copper still up in the new record area. Silver gradually climbing almost up around where it should have been this entire time. Platinum is finally heading to where it should have been this entire time. We got two. All right, 2U is enough to where I might as well start. So, the situation in the already set to yellow, excellent. Situation in the Middle East, pretty much the same as it was last week. There is on paper a ceasefire, supposedly between Israel and Iran. However, in reality, they have continued striking each other just in much lesser amounts. And with, for the most part, Iran's strikes not getting through because in the current format where they're just tacitly violating the ceasefire, both of them against each other, uh, Iran's version of that is to send a few suicide drones each night, and only a few is not enough to actually like make it past the everybody protects Israel defensive shielding layer. So Israel's strikes are the ones that actually get through, and for the most part, they have been in Tehran. Uh, no, that was. Yeah, let me find the. Yeah, here's the. Here was the latest one yesterday. They're of course just being claimed to be spontaneous explosions. Because you actually reported it as strikes, then that would mean the whole ceasefire mirage would have to be done away with. But yeah, then there was one. Here's one from the 10th where some general got killed by bomb strike directly onto his apartment. So things have continued between the two of them, just again with very light strikes on Tehran by Israel and Iran launching a few suicide drones each night, most of which are getting shot down over Iraq. However, they are both the USA and Israel are now, and Iran themselves, in their on their channels, just from a different angle of it being positive, obviously, are actually hyping up the fact that now we're not sure. Maybe the underground facilities and all the previously already enriched uranium wasn't actually destroyed, which is Israel and the U.S. Sort of preemptively putting the pre the pre next wave of Vive out there that we are going to go for it again, which was obvious to everyone. Hopefully, everyone. Like I said in the beginning, the actual, in reality, end goal of the whole thing is regime change in the end, which is apparently we're gonna go for the slow burn down, I guess, of every few months, doing a big rigmarole, uh, Royal Rumble sellout arena strike sets across Iran, and just I guess more gradually cut all the legs out from everything under it that way. I I kind of really would have thought, especially Israel would have wanted to, like, really assumed, they probably did. But I really thought we would have wanted to do like a really fast air blitz, everything at once. But apparently not. I guess we're going for the slow burn. One match in the ring every couple months or so, and some some hint of the next one or multiple next ones is that the cruise industry, all the global cruise industries, have said that their Middle East cruises to all destinations around uh, the Middle East will be canceled. Their Middle East season, which apparently runs from, I think they said, October through April, the upcoming Middle East cruise season is being entirely canceled. It's being entirely shut down, which primarily for share prices because of the whole insider trading thing that every single member of Congress, yes, including the ones that you voted for, that you might feel compelled to defend uh, upon hearing that. Every single member of Congress does, along with representative members of every other government in the world. So the cruise industries, or at least those directly in charge of them, likely got some kind of insider ear whispering, warning them that this upcoming cruise season not going to be the safest fun time to be doing stuff. So different people might interpret that different ways. Some might interpret that as nothing, that the next round of stuff isn't going to happen until at least October, or others might interpret that as it's probably going to start between now and October and is going to be ongoing for some perpetual amount of time that would encompass the entire upcoming Middle East area cruise season. But that's another sort of uh, orange flag indicator that's been thrown up that this whole thing is not over as the U.S. administration initially tried to sell it as being. See, nobody, uh, well, people present. It's just that chat is empty. Okay. So, and speaking of the current U.S. administration, Trump did another 180, something he's become this term especially famous for. So previously, he was constantly talking about how Putin's a nice guy and he actually just wants to be friends and buddies with everybody, and he really wants peace. Like Trump did a whole spiel about that. Now, uh, somehow, I guess it's finally gotten into his head. Reality has finally sunk in that Putin, keeps saying that, yet keeps bombing apartment buildings and playgrounds and hospitals, and keeps up with the, ground invasion itself, keeps trying to push further and claim more, and keeps reiterating the whole Russian revanchism claim, blah, blah, blah. Anywhere there have ever been Russian soldiers belongs to Russia, which would include that would include basically everything over here, down here. Technically, that would include Afghanistan. That would include portions of Xinjiang in China. So it's idiot riddle revanchism, but it's finally sunk in, I guess. So now, while previously it was, Trump was secretly still sending stuff to Ukraine. It was just done via the ruse of Poland buying weapons that it would then give to Ukraine. And what people were not paying attention to was Poland was getting money to use to buy those weapons from the collective EU members via it was put on paper as a late term COVID economic damage reimbursement thing. Now, Trump is just directly sending stuff himself. So that's another 180 to tack on there, but he might do another one again. He's already done like 7 180s regarding the Middle East situation. Meanwhile, more developments regarding Russia itself. The count is now up to seven Russian oil tankers slash oil and gas product tankers or carriers that have since I think the first one, I don't remember, the first one was in March or April. I'm not sure, but it was either March or April. The first one happened, and now they're slowly just stacking up. This is now 7. Uh, I'm just drawing the 2 most recent ones. These aren't exact locations; they were just in the Mediterranean in general. But this is now 7 Russian oil tankers or oil and gas product tankers that have either just abruptly sunk or, in some cases, exploded with no officially published cause. So you got Russian conspiracists, of course, saying it's NATO like sinking them via submarines, and you have others positing what's probably the most likely real possibility that it's either like Ukrainian SBU or actual Russian oil and gas workers who are saboteurs of their own volition or are saboteurs for money. working on behalf of the SBU who are sabotaging or pre-planting, hiding like explosives on tankers in Novorossiysk before they leave, that are then being detonated once the vessels are like way out at sea somewhere. So either way, is a kind of a weak look. I mean, if it actually is uh, NATO submarines sinking Russia's oil tankers, then great look. Russia not doing anything about it. Russia strong, really really strong. Or the other option would be no Russia's like security apparatus, FSB plus SVO, I think is the other one. Just aren't capable of really preventing stuff anymore. So that's ongoing. And also out here, I think it was Tatarstan. It might have been Bashkiri. I think it was in Tatarstan, or the flight was over Tatarstan. But a here, let me give a let's do another really bad Maxogea drawing. So a Russian yeah, aircraft emission stream. So a Russian paratrooper plane where, the guys jump out with the suits for training in this case, Russian paratrooper training. Uh, some of the uh, some of the guys in the unit decided to off their commanders, and this the first time it's happened by sabotaging parachutes, but it's not the first time it's happened in general. The count of this has uh, jumped up really recently over like the last few months. Similar incidents have like suddenly become really abundant. So I don't know if like I don't know if there's some new wave of like the newest Russian commanding officers being like really particularly abusive or something. But now we're starting down the everybody's offing their commanding officers route. And over here, Russia's Pacific Fleet Navy base and several of its like way out there outskirts military bases, outposts in the east are without power and have been without power for a number of days because the natural gas pipeline that supplies gas to their small like on-base power plants exploded at one point along its transit path. So that has to be repaired now out there in the middle of nowhere. Cause unknown, but it just exploded somewhere out there. Uh, oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot about the aircraft carrier. So everyone should be familiar with Russia's totally functional aircraft carrier. Their one single aircraft carrier, real superpower type stuff. So that aircraft carrier has been sitting in port for a while because every time it goes out to sea, let me draw a sad face. Every time it goes out to sea, the engine room just like completely catches on fire and everything breaks and it starts just billowing black smoke, and it's almost sunk a few times. And every time they take it out to try to parade it around and pretend that it's worth something, it almost sinks or it catches fire and they tow it back and it sits in port for like 3 years while they try to fix it. But now they have finally they finally just admitted that it's over and are scrapping it for good. And in fact, are going to literally sell it for its scrap metal value. So that's out. Another piece of the pretend mirage of retained superpower status is now kind of thrown out the window. Let me take a sip of water real quick. We're getting close to the end. Like I said at the start, when nobody was here to hear it, this was probably going to be a really short one. Anybody? No. Okay. Also, uh, one of the final things I'll mention is Russia has, you guys remember last year, uh, they decided to no longer officially publish their oil and gas data. So for the like oil and gas graphs and data, I've had to improvise with that, like looking at other stuff, you know, the inflows and outflows and uh, percentages that percentages of things, including some stuff that is inside Russia but is still recorded by second or third parties, but also like total traffic and everything gets obviously recorded by the entire world. They've forced me into a corner of having to constantly do mathematical backflips to try to narrow things down. But they stopped publishing oil and gas data officially, and now they stopped publishing their demographic data, anything related to population and birth rates. That has now been deemed classified. It's a state secret, which everyone knew they were lying about everything anyways. Since even before the war, as starting with 2020 with COVID, they just started lying and just said that their birth rate was 1.41 and that each passing year they kept saying that it's 1.41, nothing's happening, it's not changing. If you're gonna do the lie, why not lie positively? At least why not claim like it went up or something to 1.7? But they lied about that, whereas in reality it oh yeah, and self plug, go down to drive, self plug while I'm at it. In reality, uh, well, I'll show you in a second. You can find this data and these graphs along with anything else in the free resources and data drive. A link to this is in the description under basically every video at this point. So you can go here and look at any data, including the population and demographics folder. Scroll all the way down, Russia. So in reality, they're around about 1.1. They got a little bit lower uh, previously, but over last year they climbed back up a bit. But according to them, up until they stopped publishing data, they were staying perfectly the same at 1.41. And also, and also for their population itself, they started like hands up, no care line. Like even outside of war deaths in Ukraine, they for one ignored the initially 2 million or so people who left Russia, Thailand's down there somewhere, who left Russia, about 700,000 of whom returned over the course of everything since the war started, but that's still a net 1.4 million loss overall. They ignored the existence of those people, yet kept them in the population anyways. So in reality, what they claimed is, the dotted line, and just kept reporting roughly 600,000 people decrease per year. Even even on one of these past years when they recorded when the the sub data underneath the total population data showed that there were actually 200,000 more elderly people who died that year than than was being shown in the total. They still just reported another 600K, and then last year, no, last year or the year before that, they actually just said they suddenly said out of nowhere, like, this year, our population actually went up this time. Totally legit. It really did. Total facts. It did. I'm serious. So they were already kind of just fronting with everything, but now they're not even going to bother with that. So they classified that data. They're no longer going to publish it. And just like with the oil and gas data, they can probably save a few rubles by, firing the handful of people that were otherwise in charge of compiling that data and plugging it into Excel spreadsheets and stuff. So they can fire those people, I guess, and the government can save some more so that it can keep up the circular money with net losses thing going. So now I'm going to have to jump through hoops while doing triple backflips to try to get their demographic data, which, unlike the oil and gas data, is not actually having some portions of it recorded by outside third parties. So that's going to get pretty impossible for a few years until there's a sort of forceful internal change and they start publishing stuff again, in which case they might actually correct to what at that point will be real numbers, but I still wouldn't get my hopes up for that. But that is a thing that is now also happening. Let me take another sip of water, and I'll check you guys in chat if there is one, and then I'm gonna run through everything just to make sure that is actually everything. All right. Did we get anybody? No. Okay. Uh, quick, quick scroll down. At least if anything I wanted to go through. I don't think so. All right. And that's the thing from the last time. That's going to be it then. So it was always going to be a shorter one, like I said. Thank you, everybody who showed up, and I will see everybody around next time.